What's going on, y'all? What's going on? What's going on? I'm actually chilling in my car doing this video. And this video right here, I'm going to be diving into a few topics in this. But this one is going to be a work-related video. And the truth of the matter is, this one is going to be about how to deal with being only black in a predominantly white environment. All right? And this is going to also be for people who are in supervision. Okay? So if you are a black individual and you're in a predominantly white work setting and you're a supervisor, this is going to help you as well. Okay? I was battling if I wanted to do this type of video or whatever, but I feel like there's always going to be some type of thing or things that happen in the world, and we got to help each other out. And if you guys hear any beeping, I'm still on the clock or whatever. So if you guys hear any beeping, that's just part of my job. But anyway, man, getting on into this. And before I even get into it, I'm going to say this as well, okay? You cannot change your skin color, all right? You can't change your skin color, and you gotta love yourself. You got to. That's the first thing you gotta remember, okay? And the second thing that you gotta remember is you gotta always have your back. You gotta always have your back, period. All right? Now, you keep those two things in mind, because the reason why I say that is I'm going to go back into those later on in this video. All right? You know how it is for black people. You know how it is. Anytime we are the only black face, it could be in a restaurant, it could be in a get-together, and when you know you're the only black person around, you got to keep your guard up, okay? And I got another keen pointer I want to say in this video too. Not all white people are racist, okay? I meant to put that in for the third one, but it's not too late. Not all white people are racist, okay? So I don't want a white person who's watching this video thinking that I am encouraging racism and stuff like that. That's not the case, because there are some great white people out here in the world. So keep that in the back of your mind too, because I'm a pinpoint that out at the end of this video. So, but yeah, going back into it, as black people, y'all know how it is. When we are in a white setting, a lot of time, man, we're on guard, because we know for a fact there's got to be somebody that's probably racist, okay? And we got to stay ready just so we don't have to get ready. And that can be very challenging in a workplace. And I'm going to tell you why it can be challenging in a workplace, because one, we got to make sure that we keep our cool for one thing. And we got to keep our cool because the thing about us as black people, our skin tone can be intimidating. How we look. Sometimes, man, just how we look. We have a very, very strong tough demeanor about us. So even when we're not trying to be mean, we can look intimidating. And a lot of time, I've found out that white people are very, very, they can be very observant in that, and that can make them want to, what I say, quote unquote, try to fit in with us. They might come up to you and be like, "What's up, dog? What's up, man? What's going on, my guy?" You know, and that's okay. Ain't nothing wrong with, because there's some white people who are brought up with black people, and they just got that, they got that swag about them. And you're gonna know the ones who got that swag, that genuinely have that swag, vice versa to the ones that they just trying to fit in. You know, if it don't come off natural, we know, like, and it's like to us, it's like when they approach us like that, it's like, okay, we see where you trying to go with that. You need to just be yourself, you know. But some of them, they'll try to do it. Another thing that I'll say is, if they try to sit there and bring up any black topic, chances are they either racially curious or they are just racist and they're just trying to be nice. You know, prime example, like I'm bald, right? And I've had white people come to me and be like, "That's a very interesting haircut." How is bald being a very interesting haircut? You know, they always try to talk about our hair, like, we're very versatile, or like say someone, black women, they get it a lot. Like when it comes to like their hair, they're always getting like white people to try to touch their hair and stuff like that. And black people don't like their hair being touched, man. Like, they don't. And you'd be surprised, there are even white people who like to touch black dudes' bald head at a workplace. And it's like, bro, like, don't touch my head, man. Don't touch my head. But like I said, not all white people are like that, man. Then, and these are just little things. Like, these are just little small things. Now we're gonna talk about how you can tell if like white people can be racist towards you without them saying it. So I remember, man, I'm not gonna say no names, but like I just started on the job, right? And I already peeped game, like, bro, like, okay. Like, there's a few black people out here, in this place that work, but it's predominantly white. So it's like, okay, I see what's going on. So while the lady's training me or whatever, and let me wind this back. So when I first got the supervisor position, I didn't get told, what kind of clothing I should wear or whatever. All right. And this is how people can judge a book by the cover or whatever. This is how people can judge a book by the cover. So I was like, all right, so you're not telling me what I need to wear. So I'm going to wear what I want to wear. And it wasn't nothing like too loud or anything. Like, I had some shorts on and a shirt. Nothing crazy. But I'm not going to lie. Like, if you were to see me, you would have thought that I was just some black dude on the street when I came in. So she looks at me and she's like, "You're the supervisor?" I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "Oh, I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but you might want to go back home and change." I'm like, nobody tell me what criteria I need to wear. Now, back in my mind, I know, I probably should have just wore something, but I'm just like most people, man. Like, Hey man, if you don't tell me what I need to wear, I'm gonna just wear what I want to wear. Like there was nothing that told me, nothing in the job description that told me what I had to wear. And again, like I said, I wasn't like dressed unprofessional. I was just being casual. But you know, the definition of black people casual is way different from white people casual. And I didn't say nothing. I went back, I came back, and I changed. And then they came back. I don't want you to think that, you know, I was looking at you any different or this, that, and the third. And I'm like, like I get it, but it's like, yeah, you know, because the thing about it is, I know how to do my job. You know, clothes shouldn't define you how you do your job, but it's just how the world is. You know, the world will judge you based on how you look. That's just how it is. The world would judge you, period. But you should never judge a book by its cover. That's why you should always approach people with the same amount of respect, period, even if they're homeless, because you just don't know. You don't know what that person, you know, their intelligence, talents, whatever the case might be. Never judge a book by its cover. And they did, already judged me. So I ain't say nothing. So then, you know, she just kept saying it over and over again. I don't want you to think that, you know, I look at you different, this or this. I'm like, the fact that you are, you know, fighting that topic so much tells me that you feel some type of way towards black people. Okay. And anybody who's watching this who's black, you understand exactly where I'm coming from. All right. So didn't say nothing. So then the next couple of days, I realized white people will watch you more in a workplace than black people. You know what I'm saying? They will watch you more. So I come in, and apparently she comes up and she's like, hey, I heard that you had trouble responding to your radio one day when they called you. And I'm like, but I still showed up. I was like, my bad for not being perfect. Maybe I had my radio down. My bad for not being perfect. You know, things happen, but I still responded. I said, you might want to be real careful with that because she was really complaining and all this. And I just flat out said it. I said, oh, she's probably complaining because I'm black. Oh, why I say that? Oh, boy. She said, oh my gosh, why would you say something like that? Oh my God, no, it's not like that. It's not like that. And I'm like, it's like that. The fact that you said, you know, I might want to be more mindful, you know, because she was feeling some type of way, all because I didn't respond when you wanted me to respond, but yeah, I still responded in a timely fashion. It's one thing if I didn't respond at all. Now that's, you know, that's a whole different ball game. But I still responded. You know what I mean? And the fact that she got so hurt by it that I said that tells me everything I need to know. Like, yeah, and then so I come back. She comes back the next day, and she's letting me know. I just want you to know when I left, I was crying so hard from what you said, and I was like, crying because I was telling the truth. Because I was telling the truth, and then she was like, you know, all white people, and it's going back and say all white people are not like that, and she's very right about that. And I had to sit down and I had to have a thorough conversation with her. Because I want white people anybody who's watching this to understand, like I said, I am not racist by anything, by all means. It's just the world that we live in, especially as black people, we're brought up different. And we're brought up to be observant and to stay ready so we don't have to get ready. Okay? So I sat down and I talked to her one day, and I told her, I said, I'm going to teach you something about black people that you might not know. And she was like really intrigued at this point. I could tell, like, And I said, I didn't mean for you to feel sad, but I want you to understand something. If you really want to understand what it really means to be black. So I kind of broke it down to her, and I said, our conversations are different at home than vice versa, y'all. She said, what do you mean? Like at this point, she's like really astounded by what I'm saying. I said, okay, I'm gonna tell you like this. I was like, we're taught at an early age to watch out for police. I said, prime example, I said, especially like when we're driving, we have to, if a police officer pulls us over, we have to stay ready because we don't know if this is going to be our last moment. And I said, that might sound funny to you, but for a white person, you don't have to worry about that. But if I'm getting pulled over, the main thing that goes through my mind is, okay, be polite, be professional, don't make any sudden movements, because if you make a certain movement and he actually is racist, he gonna blast your brains out. We know this. We know this. And she was like, wow, like y'all have to go through that? I'm like, yeah. I was like, this is something we have to do. We have to make sure both our heads are on the wheel. We have to make sure that we show no crazy threats. We shut our mouths and we don't say nothing. I told her there was a time, man, I got pulled over and both my hands were on the wheel, and this dude was a white officer. And I looked him dead in the eye. He said, do you have your license registration? I said, I do. I said, do I have your permission to go reach and go get it? Do I have your permission? I looked him dead in the eye. He said, yes, sir, you have my permission. I said, okay. And I went and grabbed it. I did it slowly. And he got it. And turns out the dude was real nice. You know what I'm saying? But he still appreciated that I asked him for his permission. You see what I'm saying? Because if I would have reached without his permission as a black person, I probably would have got shot. I know for a fact I probably would have got shot or battered to almost to death. And when I told her that, she was like astounded. She's like, wow. I was like, yeah. I was like, so, you know, we have to stay ready to get ready or whatever. And I told her, I said, you know, not all white people are like this. We know that. You know, we know that. I don't have nothing against white people, but like I said, I know that I have to stay ready to get ready. And that's just what it is. And I told her, I said, and respectfully, there's nothing you can do to change my mindset with that. It's not the fact that I'm racist. I'm not racist. It's just I have to stay ready to get ready. And that's just what it is. And she looked so hurt when I said that. It looked like she was so sad or whatever the case might be. And everything like that. And then it was like after that, it was like she saw me a little different after that. So here's the thing. When I say saw different, she started acting different towards me. Because the thing about white people, they hide it way more different now. They will come to you. They could be curious about what you do, how you do things, why we do things. But a lot of time it's just them peeping games sometimes. All right. Now I'm going to dive into the supervision aspect. If you are a black supervisor in a predominantly white place, you have to, there's pros and cons to it, okay? I'm going to talk about the cons. The cons is black people, we have a lot of common sense, okay? I'm not saying that white people don't have common sense, but a lot of time, like the way that we think and how we operate things, it can really piss them off and it'd be like, that makes sense, but we don't want to do that. So a lot of time, as a supervisor, like I can bring a lot of great ideas, but then they don't want to take them. That makes too much sense. You know what I'm saying? That's too logical. And this is what I do, okay? That's the con. But the pro is, I brought something to you guys' attention. If y'all don't want to do it, that's fine. You know, the weight's off my shoulders. That's actually a pro, because later down the line, there might be somebody who come up again and I bring up the same idea and they might take it and they be like, why didn't we think of this before? Y'all could have did it before. It was just stuck under the rug. But the pro is, hey, I don't have to worry about it. Another con that you have to worry about is racist white people. White people don't like to listen to black people. Some white people don't like to listen to black people, okay? Some white people do not want to listen to a Negro, okay? They don't. They don't want it. They don't want to. So if you are a supervisor, the same way you could tell them, a white person, how can I say this? The same way a white person would tell them what to do, if you tell them the exact same way, they don't want to listen because it's just because you're black. They're not going to say it, but they can go by their actions. It's like if you tell them respectfully to do something, they will give you so much pushback. I'm only going to do it because you said so. And okay, whatever. Okay. But if it was a white person, hey, yeah, can you make sure that you do this right? Okay, no problem. No problem at all. No problem. Black person, hey, make sure that you, I already did that, okay? Okay? Oh my gosh. So irritating. But same tone, the white person would have said, you give them the exact same tone. That's what you have to go through as a black supervisor. Okay? Black supervisors, we have to be more careful. Okay? We have to be more careful, because they'll be like, yeah, so tell me about what happened with you and such yesterday. Like, what do you mean? Yeah, she came to me and said you came off a little aggressive, and and I'm not saying that you was aggressive or anything like that, but just be a little bit more careful. And I'm like, you gotta be careful about that, because it's like, how was I being aggressive? If I said in the exact same tone as Charles did. You see how I'm looking right now? Just how I'm looking right now would intimidate some white people in a predominantly white place. Just how I'm looking, like, oh, no, come on, Danny. It's not like that, man. And why are you looking at me like that, man? Oh my God, I'm telling you, man. That we could just look intimidating, and it ain't even. We're not even forcing it. But that's just you have to do. Now I'm gonna tell you the pros. Another pro though, okay. One of the pros about being in a predominantly white place, especially supervision, white people want to do your job. They don't want to listen to a Negro, so they're like, let's see how I can do his job for him, so I don't have to deal with him. That's actually a pro. You just got to be careful and be mindful, so they don't try to make it look like you don't know how to do your job. But I give you an example. Let's say if I was doing the schedule, right? Like, oh, I can take care of that for you. Really? Okay. Sure. Yeah. I can make sure all this stuff is taken care of too. I'll take care of that tomorrow as well. Really? Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I know such and such was giving you. I see such and such was giving you a hard time yesterday. Hey, I'll go pull him to the side and talk to him. I'm like, really? Okay. I'm trying to give any black supervisors watching this, I'm trying to give y'all gems, okay? The fact that they don't want to listen to you, they'll do their job, your job for you, okay? Just make sure they ain't trying to do too much though. It's like one of those things. You gotta play your cards right with it, okay? But I'm gonna tell you another good gem that can help you in a predominantly white place is silence. If you come in, don't say much, you do your job, but you're respectful to people. All you gotta do is walk in, especially supervisor. You walk in like, hey, you know, they talk to you, listen to what they gotta say, but then also say, is there anything I can do for you? If you say that alone, that'll just throw them off. They're like, whoa. Because they can't ever sit there and say you didn't care. Okay? That'll throw them off like, they won't expect it. Like, what? What? Huh? Mm-hmm. Um, Anytime you got to get on one of them, talk to them very professional. You might even have to bring somebody in just so they can't sit there and say that you was being disrespectful. Like if you have to do like a disciplinary or anything of that magnitude, it may be very wise to bring another person in. Because I'm telling you, white people, just people in general, but really, if you are in a place that's predominantly white, they might say, they be like, this nigger ain't about to tell me what to do, and I definitely ain't about to get a writer from him. Be prepared. Another thing that you don't have to do, you don't have to overwork yourself to prove that you know what you're doing. So it goes back to what I'm saying. You cannot change the skin that you are in. Okay? You gotta love yourself, and you don't, and you do not overwork yourself to prove that you belong. Okay? Don't ever do that. Don't ever prove yourself, especially as a black person, that you belong. Don't ever do it. Period. And the thing about me is, I don't have to. Now, here's another thing that you want to keep in mind when you are a black supervisor in a predominantly white place. Here's another thing I want you to be very mindful over. Because I know where some black people are probably thinking, well, if you are in a predominantly white place, how did you get a supervisor position? Okay? Now, some white people there's two things that can happen with that, okay? It's either just, you were just so talented with your knowledge and based on how you approach through the interview, they was just impressed and they're like, you know what, we're going to hire this person. Or it could have been a white guilt. Let's bring this person in. Let's try to ease the momentum off us a little bit, so we don't get a stigma that we only just hire white people. Let's get a black person in so they can alleviate people. In other words, it will lower them making this feel as if the company's not racist. Okay. Now, if you are a black person and you find yourself in that situation, it's not technically a bad thing, because I'm gonna tell you this: as black people, we stick together. Okay. We need to do better, but when it comes to certain aspects, we do stick together. I give an example. I'm gonna show you how black people stick together, and I'm gonna tell you, any white person who's watching this, I'm gonna show you exactly how black people stick together in certain aspects. Me and Jamal might not get along at all outside of work. Okay, we might not get along. We might fight each other. We might even have beef. Okay, but if you put me and Jamal in predominantly white place, me and Jamal are going to get along. It's just in us. We're gonna be like, you know what? We are the only two Negroes in here. we are going to stick together. Okay? Now, when we leave from here, we can go our separate ways, but while we up in here, we're going to look out for one another. Okay? And I'm going to tell you something. In a predominantly white place, white people pick up on that too. If they see you two sticking together, they already know. They can feel it. Okay? Now, another thing that's kind of it's kind of funny that some white people would do. Some of them genuinely like to be around black people. Okay, some of them. That's why I said not all white people are racist. Some white people, they just love black people. Okay, and they'll come around, chill with us. And like I said, you're gonna know the ones that are like, you could tell they was brought up around black people, as to opposed to the ones that's trying to force it. The ones who ain't forcing it, like how I'm talking right now, it's just in them. You can tell. You know what I'm saying? And I do believe in unity. And then you got some white people who are racist, but then when they're around black people more, that racism starts to leave because it's like, hey, they're not as what I thought they were. You know what I'm saying? People change or whatever. But again, you can't change your skin tone, but we have to be ready so we don't have to get ready. You know what I'm saying? That's just what it is and everything. And another thing, when it comes to being in predominantly white spaces, especially in supervision, if you are racially targeted, you stand on toes with that. Go to big measures. If a white person disrespects you, immediately go to HR, document the times, make sure. And honestly, if you have to get NAACP involved, that's what you do, period. Now, I know some people might be like, the easy way is you may have to find other options, all the other alternatives, right? But here's the thing, though. That's fine and dandy, looking for other jobs and stuff like that. But here's the thing. There's always something somewhere. You can never completely escape something. If you go to a job, there's always something going on at that job. Vice versa. Always. There's always something. And then you got to get to a point where if you want to get a decent 401k or you want to, get a decent retirement, eventually you're going to have to sit down somewhere. Period. So that's just some of my advice and everything like that. But just like I said, always look out for you. Period. Don't ever fold from that. Don't take gaslighting. Don't let them gaslight you. If you feel disrespected, you probably is being disrespected. Call them out on it. Call them out. You know what I mean? Like I walked in when I first started my job. My first day, I was already kind of warned by this other worker that I was gonna have to deal with. It's like this person could be something else. I said, okay. So showing up they were. I was already ready, so I didn't have to get ready. I get in and he's like, he had an assertive tone. He was like, have a seat. And I'm like, nah, I'm good. I sit there when I feel like it. I said it. He looked at me and I looked at him there in the hot. He kind of froze back. He's like, I apologize, man. I didn't mean to look out. I was like, yeah, don't. Another thing I'm going to say, I'm really feeling this video. This is a pretty long video, too. This is another thing I want to say. When it comes to being a black person in a predominantly white place, you have to control your anger. You have to. You cannot, quote unquote, show your AWS in a predominantly white place. They will never look at you the same. Don't ever do it. Don't ever do it. Because the moment you do it, they'll never look at you the same. When we get upset, I don't know, man. It's like one of the most intimidating things. And they'll pick up on it quick. Like, I'm not gonna say no names, but like I'm gonna rewind it back. So when the lady was telling me that this person was mad that I didn't respond, she could tell in my face that I was irritated, and I was. She said, "Why you?" She said, "Oh my God, you look so irritated. I didn't mean to make your day look bad." I'm like, mm-hmm. I said, "It's cool." She's like, "Man, you really look mad." I'm like, I'm a little upset, but it is what it is. I'm like, I'm good. But the more I kept saying I was good, it was like the more there was like concern, like a trade through my anger. I'm telling you, man, you gotta be careful. You gotta be careful, man. You have to be careful. Don't ever fold. Don't ever fold. All right. So these are just a few examples. I hope this helped out somebody along the way. Um, but other than that, take it easy. Stay safe. Stay strong out here. God bless.